Hi guys, today I'm making an awesome recipe for a really easy pulled pork. We've got a lovely shoulder of pork, it only cost me about £4 from my local supermarket. We're going to have an onion to put as a trivet underneath. We're going to do a dry rub for it with fennel seeds, cumin, cayenne pepper, an awesome smoked paprika and a little bit of Coleman's mustard. A little bit of white wine vinegar underneath, plenty of salt and pepper, and in the oven for a few hours. So let's have a look. Okay, so first things first, we'll get in about a tablespoon of fennel seeds. Fennel seeds are a really nice aniseedy flavour, which is really good for cutting through the flavour of the pork. A little bit of cumin for a little bit of extra spice. We'll put in 1 tablespoon of that as well, if I can get it out of the thing. There we are. We'll put 2 in because I think it's actually a little bit nicer with 2. A little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of heat. In fact, we'll just eyeball that one because I think about a tablespoon, but you don't want it too hot, so just a little bit. What you do want here is plenty of smoked paprika to add a really nice smoky flavour. We're going to have a nice recipe for barbecue sauce coming later, but smoked paprika for now will be really good as the marinade. And then the Coleman's mustard. Let me get this open. Woo. Just 1 little half tablespoon of that, I think it's a little bit too strong. Lastly, plenty of salt and pepper in here. Bang it into the bowl. Okay, give this a little wipe. I'll bring the pork back in. I'm going to take the string off the pork because you don't really need it on because it's going to fall apart anyway. They just really put this on in the supermarket to keep it together. Now it's got quite a nice. The reason that you would use this kind of pork is because it has a nice meat to fat ratio. So the fat kind of keeps a little bit of the juiciness in the meat, and the meat's really breaks down very easily when you cook it at quite a low temperature. So that's perfect. So what we'll do here is we'll just get the dry rub on. We'll just get it all over. We'll really get it rubbed into the meat. So get it into all the nooks and crannies. And over, we'll get it on the outside as well. Bit messy, but you really want to try and get it straight into the flesh of the meat. Get it all over. As the meat breaks down, it will break all of the marinade together and it will mix it all together with the juices and it will be delicious. So if there's some areas that don't have any on, it won't come off properly. So I think that's nicely covered. Okay, made a little bit of a mess, but it's all good. So what we're going to do now, bring this in. Just go and wash my hands. Okay, so the reason we've used the dry rub for this is because a wet rub puts a little bit too much liquid in. So what we're going to do is when we put it into the tray, we're going to put it on a trivet, which basically means something that raises the meat from the base so it doesn't stick, it doesn't burn. Then that allows us to also put some liquid on the bottom, which as the meat cooks, it will steam and that will keep the moisture in. So yeah, the dry rub really just keeps the texture on the outside of the meat and it'll make it delicious. So what we'll do first, I'll move this out of the way. So move the meat over. So for a trivet, just a basic diced onion. We'll just peel it. You don't need any more than that. Just an onion on the bottom. It's purely just to keep the meat from the base of the tray to stop it from burning. So make a little bit of the onion off. Put that into the bowl. Yep. So really all we need to do is just quarter it. Tray here. We just lay it out in the tray. Now if we take the pork and we lay it on top like this, so that sits on top now, and when it heats and the liquid from the bottom steams, it comes up from every single angle all the way around the meat, which is exactly what we want because you want to keep it as moist as we can while it breaks down. That's perfect. Okay, so now we've got the meat here. What we do, take a little bit of white wine vinegar, just a splash, maybe about 2 tablespoons. And the vinegar helps to break down the meat as it cooks in the oven. A little bit of vinegar and a little bit of cold water. Now what they do is they will sit below the meat, put a little bit of oil, vinegar on top of the meat as well. They will sit below, like I said, and the liquid will steam up from the bottom, and the trivet will stop it from burning, and it will have a nice sort of all the way around the outside kind of steam. So that's in there now. What we need to do now is put baking parchment on top of the meat. Now baking parchment, again, helps to steam it, but it also stops it from sticking and burning to the top of the tin foil. Tin foil all the way over. You want to get the tin foil really tight. The tin foil needs to be really, really tight. You don't want any steam to escape. You want to keep all the heat, all the steam inside. Okay, it's time to get that in the oven. Right, now the pulled pork's in, it's time to move on to the coleslaw. Coleslaw is really, really easy to make. The first thing we need to do, and a lot of people don't know this, is we need to take the white cabbage and soak it in a little bit of salt. Now, much like you would do with something like aubergine, cabbage when it's raw has quite an acrid flavour, an acrid taste, and it's very, very crunchy. And although that's fine normally, the salt draws out a lot of the water, draws out a lot of the acrid taste, and it kind of softens it a little bit, so it makes the coleslaw a lot easier to spread, which is really, really, really useful for something like pulled pork. So we'll finally shred it. Make sure the knife is nice and sharp. Nice and shredded. And we get that into our bowl. Now, quite a lot of salt. Get that mixed in. A little salt press. Now, we'll cover this with a towel and we'll leave it for about 20 minutes. And that will draw some of the water out, which we can then throw away, and we'll put in the cabbage and the onion. So now the cabbage is doing that, we can start on the rest of the veg. So use a speed peeler, and we'll get one carrot to half of a white cabbage. Peel it, top and tail it, cut it in half, move it off to the side, and we'll do one onion. Now the onion also has that kind of acrid flavour that's very strong, much like the cabbage, but it has a very different flavour that really complements the mayonnaise and the carrot. The carrot's quite sweet, the onion's quite strong, and the cabbage, we don't want it to have that strong flavour. We don't want it to be overpowered by the others. So, get rid of all of this. So we'll shred the onion. You want the onion to be quite fine. You want to spread it evenly around the coleslaw. With the onion shredded, we need to grate the carrot. Okay, so after sitting the cabbage on the side for about 20-25 minutes, a little bit of salt on it. You can see from where you are, it's softened quite a lot. So it used to be quite crunchy and had this quite strong acrid flavour. That's all been taken away now. I gave it a little wash. Now it's ready to have the rest of the ingredients added to it. So we'll put in all of the carrot. So that's one carrot in there. And we'll put in half of this onion. Right. And I've just got some regular shop bought mayonnaise here. You can just get it from the supermarket. You can make it yourself, but it does take quite a lot of work. So I used to use shop bought. There's about 3 tablespoons here. Because surprisingly, you actually don't need very much to mix all this together. Okay. Now, I'm going to mix this with my hands. Just wash them, and it's a lot easier to get in there with your hand and get it all mixed together. You can do it with a spatula, it can be a bit messy. I'm just going to do it by hand. Let's get this in here. So mix it all together nicely. And because the cabbage is softened, it makes it easier to mix it together. And you've got the soft carrot, soft sweet carrot, the strong onion, and now the lighter flavour of the cabbage mixed with the mayonnaise. And it makes a delicious side addition to pulled pork. And now what I'm going to show you is also a very simple recipe for barbecue sauce. So the first thing you need for the barbecue sauce is 6 tablespoons of tomato ketchup. Now, tomato ketchup adds a nice base to the sauce and allows it to be spread and squirted much like ketchup onto things you want to eat. Next, 5 good splashes of Worcestershire sauce. This adds a nice tangy flavour, which is lovely for the back of your throat when you're eating the barbecue sauce. Next, 1.5 teaspoons of soft light brown sugar. This adds a sweetness, which is really important. Next, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder. Again, a little bit of heat. And you get in 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm just guessing here, but it is 1 teaspoon. Then we want 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. This is really important because this adds the smoky barbecue flavour that is obviously synonymous with the sauce. So we need to get this in and get good quality, because the higher quality, the better it tastes. Then you want 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar for a little bit more acidity and to start breaking down some of the spices. So 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. Then we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic puree. It just adds a little bit of another kick to it and another flavour. Then we stir all those ingredients together and we boil it for around 5 to 10 minutes just to incorporate all the flavours, break down that sugar, dissolve some of the spices into the mix. If needed, add a little bit of hot water. This just thins the sauce out a tiny bit, and it can also give you a little bit more volume if you don't feel like you have enough. It adds to expand the amount of sauce you have. Once on the boil, get a whisk and make sure all the ingredients are properly whisked together. That's really important because you need to make sure that everything's incorporated. You need to make sure that all those spices and things have been broken down. Next, you want to strain it through a sieve. This is just to get rid of any of the lumps that may have collected, if there's any spices that have collected together, and to make sure that there's no extra bits in the sauce. You want it smooth, you want it silky, and you want it spreadable. And that's it, and that's my recipe for a really easy, simple, but tasty and smoky barbecue sauce. Okay, so the pulled pork's been in for around 2 hours, so let's get a good look at this. Take the oil off, it's very hot and steamy. Oh, look at that. This pork is almost ready. What I'm going to do is flip it over and give it a little baste. Take a little spoon. Put some of this lovely juice over the top. What I'm going to do next is turn the oven up a little bit. I'm going to take the top off, the foil. I'm going to put it back in as it is, uncovered, for about another 30 minutes. And get a bit more colour on it. Get it a bit more crispy if we can. This. There we go. Get this back in. And that another 30 minutes. Okay, so the pork's been in for about 2.5 hours. Look at that. Get it out on the tray here. We'll take this. Oh, it's so juicy, it's falling apart. It's exactly what we want. Yeah. We'll lift it off onto a chopping board. Now the juices you can save. You can add them to the barbecue sauce. You can even use the onions as part of a topping. They're actually delicious as they are. We've used them for the trivet, but you can still eat them as they are and they're perfectly fine. We'll get a knife. And we'll take away some of this fat, because we don't really need this. Cut this off. Get rid of this for now. And then we'll break this down. As you can see, it's absolutely falling apart. It's exactly what we're looking for. So I've got a brioche bun here, which I've lightly toasted, a little bit of oil, toasted it in a pan. And the pulled pork, you can actually have it on in many things. You can have it on jacket potato, you can have it in a sandwich, you can just eat it as it is. It's actually really, really nice though on a brioche bun. So let's pile it up. Take a little bit of the barbecue sauce we made earlier. There we go. Take a little bit of coleslaw. And there we go. Pulled pork with barbecue sauce and coleslaw on a brioche bun. Give it a go guys, hope you enjoyed it and thanks for watching.